This is part 6 of the Chart.js Navigator series, and here we're going to continue on, and now we want to make sure that when we drag this item here, or this left circle, that we start to zoom in on the chart. To understand how this zoom in works, let me give you a quick example. If we go to the configuration here from chart 1, and then in here we just go to the scale X, or the X scale, and then we're going to say a min, and this min will be 0, so it will be always 0, and then there's a max value will be 5, meaning index 0 to index 5 will be shown. And if I refresh this, as you can see here now, this starts to zoom in. That's basically what we're doing, or what we're going to do. And if we say here 1, save, refresh, it does the same thing. So we could play and use that logic on this here. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, I need to create a function. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And then in here, we're going to create our function. And this function, we are going to give this name the navigator zoom. And then in here, we're going to put in the min and the max value basically for the X scale. This function will be triggered when we move this, and it will communicate then to the X scale on chart 1. That's basically what we're going to do here. So how do we do that? Well, basically we're going to say here my chart dot, and then we're going to say you're going to the configs, and then from the config we go to the options, and then we're going to say scales X and min, and this will be equal to min value. And the same logic here will apply for the max value, and then we say here this will be equal to max. And then finally, once we did that, we're going to say here my chart.update to update the chart. So how do we get this here to show you? Is basically my chart, and we went into the config variable, and then we jump into the options. So from config we basically go into this is config for chart 2, we're going to chart 1, that's at the very top, config, then we say here options, scales, and then we go to the X, min and max, and we're able to have access to those even if we're not specifying it here. So this is all going to work. So if I save this right now, nothing of course happens because it's not triggered yet. So now what I need to do, I need to trigger this. So to trigger this, we can just use in here, we have here the left, this is for the left circle where we are changing something here. But now what I want to do here is say navigator zoom, and then in here we want to get a value. For now I'll just say here 3 and 6. Let's save that, and if I do that, you should be able to see it just automatically zooms to that specific value. So that works. But what I need is not only the 3 and 6, I basically need whatever this value is, or basically this X core, that's the value, but then I need to convert that value. So what I'm going to do here is, I'll say X dot get the value for the pixel of what exactly the X core left. And then if I save this, and let's put this one here on 10, we should have now something working. There we are. So I move this, it understands that we're moving forward, and then it will trigger eventually until that. But we have to make sure that this number 10 is not a static number, but the same, but then X core right. If I save this, now it will be here, and if I move this one, nothing happens. The reason why this is not working yet is because we only put this for the left circle. So what we can do here, copy this and put this here as well for the right circle. Let's save that, refresh. Alright, so now this works, but the color is not matching. So what we need to do here is, well, we're still missing that. I guess we can do it in the next video. We're going to trigger specifically the color. And of course, just in case, we have to make sure that this all goes back. We have to probably solve that one, but I just want to make sure that is this working? And you can see here the right circle, and this is the left circle. But if the left circle goes too far, we have a problem, and that needs to be fine-tuned eventually as well.